The Switchyard had been closed to passenger traffic for 20 years, but the county still kept one night dispatcher in the old tower whenever storms threatened the freight line. My job was mostly watching weather screens and calling maintenance crews when water reached the low points beside the rails. The tower stood above a tangle of rusted sidings, signal masts, and weeds bright with rain. At midnight, every track on the wall map was black except for one thin green line running toward the abandoned East Junction. The line should not have existed. East Junction had been cut away after the flood of 2006, when the river changed course and swallowed the bridge beyond it. I assumed a sensor had shorted. Then the telephone on the old dispatch console rang once. The screen beneath it lit with a route request: Train 41, Dep. 1989, destination, Ash Grove. The date made me laugh before I could stop myself. Ash Grove was the town where I grew up. It had no rail station, never had. The request waited beneath a blinking red notice: route not safe. I reached for the reset key, but the green line on the map shifted across 3 dead sidings and stopped at a signal box. I could see through the rain below the tower. Its lamp, dark for decades, had come on. I took a flashlight and the tower keys down to the box. Rain blew sideways across the yard, turning the ballast into a field of black glass. Inside, the old lever frame smelled of wet iron and mouse nests. 3 levers stood upright beneath chipped signs: Main, River, and East. The east lever was already moving by itself, trembling against its catch. When I held it still, the tower radio crackled. A man's voice announced my name and said, very calmly, that train 41 was approaching the river turnout. I looked through the rear window. There was no train, only fog rolling low across the tracks. Then a headlamp appeared far down the line, too white and steady to be reflected lightning. The train arrived without sound. Its cars slid through the rain on rails that had not carried weight in years. They were old passenger cars painted a dull blue beneath streaks of mud, with every window lit. Faces moved behind the glass, but none of them looked out until the engine reached the signal box. Then every passenger turned toward me at once. I recognized the first face because it was mine, only younger, pressed beside a window with a small hand raised against the pane. Behind that boy sat my father in his work jacket, staring past me with the exhausted expression he wore during the winter he left Ash Grove. The east lever jerked beneath my hand. A picture flashed across the rain-streaked glass of the signal box. The house where I grew up, its porch light burning through a storm. The image vanished, replaced by the wall map in the tower. The green route now ran directly toward the old neighborhood. I understood the shape of the danger then. The train was not traveling across the county. It was traveling through routes that had once been possible. Each lever chose one, and the flooded Switchyard was the place where those possibilities still met. I ran back uphill through the rain. The tower door was unlocked. On the dispatch screen, a new message had appeared beneath the old route request. If train 41 reaches Ash Grove, the house will remain. If IT reaches the tower, the route will close. There was no third option. I thought of the porch light in the vision and of the younger version of myself trapped behind the train window. I also thought of the flood of 2006, the real one that had ended the East Junction and forced my father to take a highway job far from home. That storm had not destroyed my house. It had destroyed the version of my family that might have remained inside it. The train horn sounded below the tower at last, a low note that made the glass shake. I saw the headlamp approaching the signal box again. The east lever had dropped halfway. If I left it there, the train would follow the green route toward Ash Grove and make the impossible promise on the screen come true. My father would stay. The porch light would be waiting, but the passengers had not been ghosts asking to be saved. They were people from every choice I had spent years trying to rewrite. The boy at the window had not looked frightened. He had looked like he wanted me to stop. I went down to the box one final time. Water was already ankle-deep on the floor. I pulled east back into its upright lock and threw main toward the tower siding. The motion took all my weight. The engine screamed somewhere beyond the fog. For an instant, the lit cars raced past the window beside me, close enough that I saw each passenger clearly. My father looked at me and gave a single tired nod. The younger me lowered his hand. Then the train reached the flooded turnout and dissolved into a wall of rain, car by car, until only the red tail lamp remained above the water. The box lights died. A surge broke through the lower wall and carried me against the lever frame. I climbed onto the metal cabinet and waited while the river filled the room. Above the water, the tower map flickered through its last colors. The green line to Ash Grove vanished. So did the line to the tower. In the darkness, the radio spoke one final time. It said, route closed. Dispatch retained. At dawn, a maintenance crew found the tower dry and the signal box half collapsed beneath the riverbank. They found my flashlight, my keys, and the old route card on the dispatch console. The card listed Train 41, departure 1989, destination Ash Grove. Beneath it, in fresh green ink, was a final note, house standing. Passenger service terminated. The crew called my apartment, but no one answered. Later that morning, my neighbor reported that the porch light in my childhood home had begun shining before sunrise, though the house had been empty for years. On clear nights, people near the flooded Switchyard see a green signal in the tower. They say a train passes there without sound, and that someone is always at the dispatch window keeping it from taking the wrong way home.